Hi, you're watching Liches and Witches. This is Catching Up with Adam, one of the run-off episodes from Catching Up with the Ragtag Bunch. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is the Catching Up with Adam. So what the plan is today is, well, we're sitting here with Adam and we're going to go through his characters from session 1 all the way up to the present, and we're going to basically get a really good background on all the characters, and we're going to see kind of how they died, how they retired, and yeah, we'll see how he's feeling at the current present time as well, at session 37 with the current date. So, hi.
Hi,
welcome.
Yeah.
So, first thing is I just want to get background on you, really. Playing D&D and all that stuff. So, you okay just to go through your kind of D&D experience?
Yeah, playing for a good couple of years now. Always host games. I love playing it. I also love running games. My games are a bit more, how would you say it, cruel?
Well, let's put it this way, and it's the one thing I've been taking out of you for a while, is that I play in his games as a player, and we got ambushed by a load of assassins, and I found this mysterious powder, and I thought, oh, they didn't use it. I'm guessing it must be healing powder, because we killed them quite quickly. So I blew it on one of the other players' faces. Not a good idea. No, it turned out essentially to be anthrax. That was cruel.
It was cruel. It was fun, but it was also teaching a lesson.
Yeah, I think...
Never trust powders that you don't know.
Yeah, I think the one way of summing up your campaigns, when anyone asks what I play, would be, it's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun, and it's more around just what we can try and get away with, within reason, of course.
Yes, within reason.
So,
I mean, I've had some really disturbing things that people have tried to do, and I don't like that sometimes. It's too much. But
we do go a bit crazy. Like, we caused a mummy's tomb to appear randomly in this large city.
Yes, with the planting the magic bean in the garden.
Yeah,
that was amusing.
Yeah, this magic bean. We also planted the magic bean in the safe house, which caused a tree ant to explode out of it. That's just this campaign. We've played a Conan campaign where we were obviously trying to destroy an item, and we also did Starfinder and a load of other games as
yes,
well.
Yeah,
So,
that was quite fun as well. Starfinder was great.
Yeah. Cool. So you came into this obviously almost like a veteran. You kind of knew what you were playing. So when we started playing, you got your setting from me.
Yeah.
Saying, right, this is the opening start. So the setting I gave them was they had just accepted a contract to rescue a mayor's daughter who had gone missing. So I basically gave the brief of, why do you accept the contract? Who are you, essentially, as well? And your response was absolutely amazing, and it's one of the kind of the characters that you play that always sticks with me. Is your first character for Ragtag Bunch. So I'm not going to introduce it. I would like you to introduce your first character.
Yes, so Meepo was an incredibly cowardly kobold. He was a bard, and he was he was designed in the idea that he really was just a musician, and he really didn't want to do much in combat. He just wanted to get out of it any way he can with his cowardice, and boy did he do that every session.
It was amazing. So we'll do this session by session, and going through a character and how they kind of blossomed, how they integrated with the group as well. Because I found Meepo, and we'll go through this in more detail in a second. But the group dynamic at the start was very interesting, and I really like our dynamic as a group because it's not our standard adventurers who love each other and fight for each other. They do, there are definitely some very powerful friendships made in our group between them because they've worked in them. They've worked at making this. Some obviously have a bit of a conflict, and I like this because it's real. Not all groups that get together straight away will get on, and I like this. Anyway, but Meepo was one of them, and he did fall in love with. I say fall in love. He gained what was it? He admired is a better word for it. He admired one of the party members who it was Drogon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Drogon because Drogon decided to give his last potion to poor little Meepo who was knocked unconscious, and get Meepo back up. And I believe Meepo then got back up and then dove in front of the arrow bolt.
Yes.
And then went back down again.
Yeah. So, as you may have kind of cottoned on, Meepo's not the only character Adam's played. Meepo went to retirement session 7.
He will reappear.
He is reappearing.
Yes.
He's hopefully very soon, depending on where the party goes. I've written it all out. I've obviously got Adam's consent as well for him to come back. He's got some stuff prepared for me, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm not going to spoil it. So let's go through session 1 of Meepo. So Meepo, the Cowardly Kobold. Who is Meepo? Tell us the background. So he's a bard. So why is he the Cowardly Kobold?
So he came from a bunch of kobold miners who had given up their worship to I cannot remember the name of it now. To their deity, because we went with the Forgotten Realm settings, didn't we? I can't remember which one it was that he was worshipping. And he's gone away from that type of religious kobold style of all that sort of mining away and greed and gold and all stuff like that. I mean, he still loves greed and gold. I mean, he still is just cowardly and will always take coin over friends. And it's just the way he is. But he decided to go on adventures and learn music and be a travelling minstrel, basically. And he came to that faithful town where he accepted the quest, and it went kind of from there. Previously, I believe I went through his previous little life events, and one of them was with a lovely chap who got mauled by an owlbear.
Very true.
And Meepo decided to dive behind a rock and run away from him. So he's had experience with adventuring by simply cowardice. Other than that, he was designed with the whole concept behind his background to be as cowardice as possible and to be portrayed as the most classic of all bards, with just not even fighting and very rarely using his spells to help anyone. Amazing.
So I remember, so in session 1, they accepted the contract to rescue Drusilla Fineleaf, the daughter of Phineas Fineleaf, mayor of Amberglade. So this kind of immediately, Adam's really good at bringing out the personality of his characters. So what they had to do was they were told by the Chamberlain, Merrin, Portscouth, to head south along the southern road, close to Marathon, where Drusilla, a token of hers, was found in the mud, and she was expected to be kidnapped from that point. And the guard was stationed there, and you may remember this. Meepo charmed the guard.
Yes.
Get some information out of him, but you wanted his lunch.
Yes. I noticed he was eating some nice, I think it was
ploughman's or something
ploughman sandwich, and I was just sort of like, oh, I haven't eaten today, so I'll take your lunch as well.
Yeah. So they got some information from the guard. They found out several farmsteads were being raided northwest of their point, so they went and got some information. He did some investigating. He found magic had been used, and the trail led back into the woods. You then got attacked by a group of scouts, a group of goblins. Some fighting ensued from that point as well. I think you used your bardic inspiration and things like that too. Was that at a point? Possibly not.
No, but Meepo never used his bardic inspiration on allies.
No,
never.
True, it's always on himself.
Yeah, it's always on himself.
Yeah, there you go.
He was a selfish little bugger.
Yeah. They dealt with the goblins quite quickly. They got a crude map from one of the Goblin Scouts that led to the location of their hideout, which was an abandoned and decrepit shrine of Denir, a faction and a god that appears up quite a lot in my campaign, who was kind of removed from the kind of the Empire of Avencia, and they appear. Obviously, his followers appear later on. The party, along with Meepo, arrive at the shrine. They deal with the guards on the outside. They enter down, fighting more goblins, and you get to the bottom with the sorcerer, another 2 goblin guards, and then Drusilla, and they're about to literally sacrifice Drusilla to their god. And Meepo, using the cunning that he is, used sleep.
Yes, yeah. I did use.
What was the kind of the thinking behind Meepo? For the first thing he does, I think he was very at the top of the initiative order as well. Sleep.
His way was like, if I can handle this without any confrontation of combat, that's great.
Yep.
We'll put it to sleep.
Yeah.
And that was as simply as Meepo's thinking. It was no confrontation. Let's get out of here quickly.
Yeah,
got a minute.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it worked. They dealt with the goblins quite quickly. You rescued Drusilla. Drakath found a secret door into another crypt area. They looted it, awakened some skeletons, got rid of them, got more loot. Headed back up the top. They proceeded back to Amberglade. They fought a big spider. They returned Drusilla back to her father. So that's the 2 sessions there. Session 1 is getting to the shrine. Session 2 is coming back from the shrine. Session 3, I don't think you were there for that session. It was just
that was the boat, I believe, that they did, wasn't it?
Hmm?
That was their boat.
So they were getting, ship. Yeah, they were getting to that. Yeah. So what happened in Session 3, it was just Rez and Ryan, Drogon and Erebos. So they did some exploring of Amberglade. They stopped a heist at a store and helped a load of guards fight a load of bandits. They got some information about Marathon. A ghost ship had been attacking a load of trading vessels between Marathon and Dusk Cove, and I'll put a little link to the side there. Hold on. Cut. You go. Back in. Where were we? Printer's died. Oh yeah. The Marathon. So Erebos and Drogon headed south. The rest of the party following behind. Session 3 was them arriving at Marathon, getting a load of information, waiting for a ship to come back in to take them out. They met with Captain Harkand and met with Guy's second character, Grimrock, and we'll have an interview with him for another episode, and we'll catch up with them. And I think so. Session 4 was spent on the ship, leaving Marathon to go deal with this ghost ship. And I think that's when he came back in with Meepo. Am I right to say?
When they were on the shore.
Yeah. So Session 4 was dealing with the ghost ship and the spectre of this beautiful elven woman. So they dealt with her. They defeated the kind of these zombies that came out of the woodwork. However, due to weather issues and fog, they ended up getting shipwrecked on the same cove as the person they were trying to find from Marathon, which was Captain Bragar, a quest that Drogon was actually pursuing. So they went along the coastline, found Captain Bragar's shipwreck and his crew. They found out there was a way out along the coast. They had to climb a large cliff. However, a cave was in the way, and it seemed to be owned by a very scary beast.
Yeah.
So that was session. So Session 5 was them going into the cave, and that's when Meepo came back.
Yes.
So Session 5 was entitled Scion of Vikragon, and it was this. If you want to look it up, it's Deep Sea Scion or Deep Scion in I think it's Follow's Guide to Monsters.
Yep. Follows Guide to Monsters, yeah.
Yep. So if you look it up, it's a badass beast. I absolutely love it. It's a horrible mute, and I kind of played on its aesthetics. Really, I've changed mine to be kind of a drow, who had been mutated by dark powers of the sea. Half of it, obviously, still a beautiful man, but another half kind of mutated with barnacles, very kind of Pirates of the Caribbean feel with it. Kind of part of the ship, part of the crew. Yeah. So this is where Meepo came in. So we spoke about Meepo starting to admire Drogon, and this is where it happened. So you okay to go through what happened in the cave and how Meepo's character really blossomed?
If I can remember correctly, because it's quite far back now. Came into the cave, there was that sort of scion-y creature, and the others were zombies, if I remember.
Yes.
The party was going really bad. Like,
it's a very long split.
It split up immediately. So I sat next to one character the entire time. I think it was Drogon. And I pretty much, at this point, I was just kind of like, oh, maybe Meepo needs to help someone. So he just kept casting spells on Drogon to help him. And then Meepo decided that he couldn't let Drogon take a fall on something. Because Meepo's thing is, he's completely cowardice, but he wants to be able to get courage. He's kind of like...
Is that the Cowardly Lion from Oz?
Yeah, he's kind of like that, but just as a tiny, small little kobold that's horrible instead.
Yeah.
And he decided to jump in front of a bolt. And then Drogon saved me, and then it all went starting from there.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Very nice, very nice. So they dealt with the Deep Sea Scion, the name obviously Mysterios, which appears quite a lot in the campaign as well. So if you hear the name Mysterios, this is the first time they actually meet him in session 6. So that's that. You go through session 5. Sorry. So session 6 was them defeating the Scion and moving out to the cliff, and they started climbing it. And as they climbed the cliff, they got to a ledge where they found a large nest with 2 little eggs in it, and they saw 2 big winged creatures on the horizon heading straight for them. Can you remember what they were?
2 big winged creatures on the horizon heading straight for them. Were they the harpies?
They were indeed.
Yeah, they were the harpies.
So these are the 2 harpies that attacked the party on the ledge. The harpies were amazing because they get the ability to charm a person, which happened. And I think it happened with Nick's character, the Changeling.
Yeah.
And I think it also happened with Drogon as well. And they basically caused them to just walk off the cliff and fall to their death. So a fight obviously ensues against these harpies. Now, again, this is Meepo's tricks and kind of this weird kobold cunning. And would you like to go through how you kind of cunningly dealt with one of the harpies?
So I had noticed that Drogon was going to fall off the edge. Not just fall off the edge, but fall off the edge unconscious.
Yes.
So I decided immediately to cast Featherfall on the party, just in case. And then dove off, using Drogon's now unconscious body at that point, as a surfing board to slowly float down as we go down to the bottom again. And we were trailed by a harpy that came after us. I created the character with basically no weapons, nothing to fight back with, anything like that, so I used my cunning of opening up my backpack, dropping the stuff that was inside that out of it onto Drogon, which mostly fell onto the floor as well, which was, bear in mind, 200 feet down?
Oh yeah, it was quite a large drop.
Most of the stuff, I think, got destroyed. But my cunning was to place my backpack over the head of the harpy to escape. And it worked.
It did. I even forced a dice roll, and it was I think it's got like a 19. It was even a nat 20 on
yeah,
that.
It was a 19
amazing.
plus 2, I think. Yeah.
So it was brilliant, and I think you dealt with the harpy quite quickly at that point. The other one then kind of flew away and retreated.
Yes, yeah.
and then you abseiled, climbed the cliff. Don't know what you call it, and got up to basically back onto the southern road. The crew then all split from you all and headed further east towards Dust Cove, and then the party remained in Black Vault, and this is where Meepo actually retired from the party.
Yes, Meepo retired at that point.
So between session 7 and session 8, so the end of session 6, session 7 was a session with Erebos, Drogon, and a character by Johnny, who was Dick Littleworth, or Richard Littleworth, and they were in Black Vault resting after obviously several days of really crap, kind of putting up with a load of harpies, a horrible deep sea scion, a weird kraken priest leering at you all from the waters.
Yeah.
They thought, you know what, let's get a bed, I think is needed. So they all got an inn. Drogon used his evil powers to get a bed from a noble family.
Used, like, suggestion.
He used suggestion to get hold of that. However, and we'll go through in more detail in the catching up series as well. He actually attacked one of the townsfolk and was now wanted by the captain and several guards. So they had to run from Black Vault. Because he killed an innocent person, he was now on a hit list, and he was now being pursued by a certain band of essentially merry men, the best way of putting it.
Yeah, the old vagabonds.
The old vagabonds, yeah. Called Bran's Band. And session 8 was essentially the introduction of Bran's Band. The party get captured, obviously. Drogon was unconscious and taken by a captain called Melvor, who he still has a grudge against. 37 sessions into the campaign, he still has a grudge against this one. 30 sessions difference. And they get taken to Bran's Keep, who was awaiting Adam's new character, Moredai.
Yes, Moredai.
So, Moredai then. So, are you okay to go through Moredai and explain his background?
Yeah, Moredai was he's a tiefling paladin of redemption, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I actually really can't remember his background too well. I think it was something about doing something really wrong in the past, and the way he was looks and believes that it is his curse, and he was trying to be able to remove his family curse, if I remember. And he was quite a fun character to play for the whole of 2 sessions.
Brilliant 2 sessions, but 2 sessions.
He was incredibly zealous about redemption. It was either you redeem yourself from something or I will kill you.
Yeah, and this is great because he came in at this point where Drogon had just killed an innocent person. Drogon had killed a horse master Drogon wanted a horse, and he was unhappy by the price of it. So he killed an innocent person, and Moredai's introduction and kind of really going, look, you've done something. You are now hunted by this band of people who kind of put you up to a test. And what happened, as soon as they arrived at Bran's Keep into the mountains, they were attacked by a large orc and goblin band led by a scarred Orog, who became one of the main villains for the first part of our campaign. They defended the fort amazingly well. It was a huge battle. They fought against a troll, a lot of orcs, a load of gnolls, and a load of goblins. Yeah. And they had some own troops as well. I think he had 4 soldiers of their own. Brand, Melvor, and then you had Drogon, yourself, and Erebos, I think.
Yes.
And then you had Elwyn as well, who was a halfling scout. So a huge battle. It was absolutely amazing. And Brand, who was this half-orc kind of warrior, religious warrior, who was kind of protect the innocent during this horrible civil war time, went to Drogon and went, look, the gods are going to decide your fate. Either you're going to fight on our front line, and if you survive, the gods have seen you fitting to stay, and you will fight for a good cause. And if you die, then you die, and you end up in one of the hells. Drogon, being Drogon, as soon as he was thrown to the front line, probably did a lot. It did do a lot of own party damage, but kind of realizing that he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, started fighting the enemy. And Moredai, this is where he came in as well. Path of Redemption, started fighting along with the party, defending the fort. So that's session 7.
Yep.
Sorry, session 8 was
session 8, and then
was Bran's Keep, of the defense of Bran's Keep, and then session 9 was being removed from Bran's Keep thanks to Drogon's antics again.
Yeah, he decided to sneak back in and try to assassinate.
Melville.
But it went terribly wrong, and it was a case of going down a flight of stairs using magic missile.
Yeah,
to the point that me and Erebos had to
drag him out.
We had to restrain him and then drag him out.
Yeah, so he got to.
And he came out biting, like seriously.
Yeah, it's one of those you do not mess with Drogon.
I set him through a trial of fire of you either go on the path of redemption or I remove your head.
Yeah. So, the party were evicted from Bran's Keep, and they were set to head south towards a river checkpoint on the southern road that leads to Dusk Cove. So to get there, they had to go through a large forest. They fought a load of grungs, which I love those little guys.
Yes, that was funny.
That then started mounting Erebos and fighting all over him. That was really, really fun. And then they went through this large rock labyrinth. They dealt with lots of cliffs and chasms. They dealt with some large ankegs. And they then dealt with a riddle master. All doing quite well. Sadly, the riddle master was a death of another party member, Grimrock, who is Guy's other character, died this session 9. But we'll go into that during Guy's episode.
Yeah, that was a terrible moment.
That was an awful moment, and I'm not going to spoil it. They carried on. They decided to sleep on this cliff area. Luckily, the one great thing about Moredai, I keep saying she, that's not right. Great thing about Moredai is he had a tent.
Yeah, he actually had a tent.
Which was amazing.
So I had the idea of covering it with some stones and stuff around it and dust to blend it into the cliffside.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, using cunning.
Yeah. Loving it. However, that was for yourself. Then, as they were packing up, a Periton, or I can never pronounce that right, Periton, attacked the party.
Yes. Yeah.
However, locking Drogon unconscious and slaying Moredai.
Yeah, I had no spell slots left because it was in the middle of the night. And all I had left was torches and oil.
And I think you use those quite creatively, actually, as well.
Yes, we threw it on top of the creature every time it swooped down, and Erebos would swipe it with the torch. And it was a good combo going on, but the creature just annihilated me instantly.
Yeah. So, it was a tough fight, and going through the rock labyrinth was a very difficult task. It was a kind of a true test, really. So we had 2 deaths that session. Guy's character Grimrock, his large bugbear, and Adam's character Moredai, the Tiefling.
Yes.
So that gets us to session 10, which was called Checkpoint, and this was the large river fort that separated the province of Amberglade to the province of Dusk Cove, if you were to go and look on a world map. So at the checkpoint, we were introduced to Adam's 3rd character, Azure, and one of my favourite characters of the entire campaign so far. So, Adam, as Azure was waiting in line for this large checkpoint, waiting to get into Dusk Cove Province, please do us his justice of an introduction.
So Azure was he's a half dragon, not a dragonborn, but an actual half dragon, a blue one to be exact. So he was all about his charm and his elegance above other chromatic dragon types. His father was a dragon, and he's the offspring of one. He can't reproduce or anything, but that's the way it kind of is. But his father had died, and he was owed all the treasury, but it was all stolen from him. Mm. And so Azure is Azure was the most devious, devilish, vain. He had no care for anyone, even right till the very end. He had no care for anyone or anything. Any moment he could do to find a way to make money for himself or to exploit the weaknesses of anyone he came across, that was Azure. Every single time. With, well, mostly lack of intelligence and extreme amount of wit and charm, and that's how it worked.
I think the lack of intelligence was really picked on by Guy's third character, who was created at the same time, called Alduin. Not Alduin, actually. Alduin didn't pick up on this. It was his fourth character, Guy's fourth character.
Yes.
Again, we'll get onto an interview with Guy soon. And
Azure did kill Alduin, actually.
Yes. We'll go through that in a second. So Azure lasted quite some time. 16 sessions.
Yes.
Which was insane. Bear in mind, we're now on session 37. So we'll start off at the top. So Azure started on session 10, checkpoint, waiting to get into Dusk Cove province and meeting with the party and joining them on the road south.
Yep. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we I bullied that family and told the kid to shine my shoes.
Yeah, because they spilt water all over you from their cart.
Definitely,
yeah. And then they got access to Dusk Cove province because the province of Dusk Cove and the province of Amberglade are aligned to two different factions currently at war. Amberglade's with the Emperor, Dusk Cove is with the Prince.
Yeah.
And a force of Dusk Cove troops with the Regent had just arrived on the border's edge. So the guards at the river fort were like, right, get people through, get them out of here, we want to close up and lock up. And you, luckily, joined the party through the gates and joined with them. You met the Regent, and the Regent demanded quite a heavily toll. Can you remember what you gave the Regent?
Yeah, so I used the cantrip Magic Stone. And I pulled off one of the most stupid persuasion checks I've ever rolled.
That was amazing.
And they believed it was actual magical stones, which only last for about a minute. And I got us through without even having to pay absolute nothing at all by just giving pebbles.
That did come back to bite me on the arse.
It came back and bit me on the arse.
So that's essentially session 10. They made their way to Dusk Cove. They fought a large ox that I can't remember the name of. Begins with an A. If you can find it. Again, I think it's in the Follows Guide to Monsters. It's what the orcs kind of look after. Can't remember the name of it. And they get to Dusk Cove. They arrive. They kind of complete a few missions. They speak to a court wizard, which was part of Drogon's quest line. He was looking for a tome. Azure kind of chats with the party, kind of really gets to know them. At this point, it's Erebos, Alduin, and Drogon. They explore Dusk Cove. They then go and deal with a tomb of Palan the Pious, where Drogon's looking for this item. Go and deal with that. They come back. Dusk Cove, they find out that everyone's in mourning, and the Baron, the Duke actually of Dusk Cove, has been killed. He died, and the Regent's now in power, this horrible evil man that demanded money from the party at the start.
Yes.
However, the Regent is now very annoyed with this party, and he's got a bag of rocks. So as soon as the party came back, they realised that they actually had been watched, and in meeting with the Regent, they actually got arrested and thrown in jail. Everyone, actually, apart from Azure
and Alduin.
So
Yes.
Erebos and Drogon were actually arrested because they wanted to meet with the regent for reasons. Drogon wanted to find something, and I think Erebos was following up a lead as well.
Alduin needed healing of some kind.
Yes.
But he was so hatred of gods that he had to bite his lip and go with it.
Yes.
I remember that. And I was with him because I wanted to record the motion down so I could take the piss out of him because of it.
Yep.
Because that's what Azure was.
Yep. Azure and Alduin got accosted by a halfling who told them that their friends had just been arrested and they had to try and find a way into the fort to go rescue them. So a rescue mission was basically concocted. I pause for effect at this point because this just goes. The rescue mission was crazy, and I feel very, very sorry for this halfling. But we'll go through this. So, the Azure used this is where Azure's cunning really started to get out. So, do you want to go through how Azure concocted a way of getting into the Dusko's castle and keep to rescue Erebos and Drogon?
Yeah, we went through the tower first, didn't we? We came into the gate. We crossed along the.
You went to the slums.
Yes, we went to the slums, and then we put on outfits to pretend that I was a chef. Was it? And Azure was one of the guards, or someone cleaning the guards' outfits, or something like that.
Kitchen staff, wasn't it?
Yeah, as Alduin and that's what we were doing. I remember that, and we pulled it off up until a point where we were going quite badly wrong with a certain guard member, but we managed to eventually persuade him, get through, and then I think we got to where the secret entrance or something was pointed at, wasn't it? Within the tower. And we discovered that the murdered scene, wasn't it?
Yes, so they had previously visited the court wizard of Dusk Cove, Gundar Moristove, who was kind of like a recluse who kind of went into his tower, and by the previous duke's orders, he was assigned a bodyguard, Lynette, and the party met her previously. She was kind of boisterous, but kind of very friendly to the party. Anyway, they now coming back after the regent, the duke has just been killed, and the regent's now taken over. Coming to the court, Lynette's nowhere to be found. Gundar's nowhere to be found. The two other party members have been taken under thought that they actually kidnapped and the court whizzed away, which is all this craziness. And obviously the murder's now been pinned on them. They found the secret entrance, and descending the stairs into this basement level, they actually find Lynette dead on the floor, covered in blood, writing on the floor the word Regent.
Yeah.
So they still have this halfling with them, amusingly.
It got to the point where we actually forgot.
Yeah. They then found the secret tunnel that links to the prison cells of the main castle keep. Broke through the wall.
Yeah, because we stood there for ages discussing what type of plan we were going to do, because we pushed out one stone, didn't we? And then we could kind of see through that. And it was so obscure, and I think Alduin was like, no, we should go in like this, and Azure was like, nah, kick it straight down. It was like, we're home. Which we entered the
so they entered the locked cell. And then some time was placed. Basically, I think you gave some weapons to Erebos.
Yeah, we passed it through the thingabob.
Yeah,
it was
the gel bars.
It was a great sword that I passed through there. Yeah.
Yes, because his hammer from his maul was in the box,
the lockup
taken away. But he also had a hammer as well, hammer of Tyr. Given to him during a previous quest, which was also put away into a box. So he had no weapons on him. So he got a great sword. They fought their way out of jail, fought a load of guards. However, Alduin did fall from one of your breath attacks. Is that right?
Yeah, I run out the jail cell that Alduin had used his breath attack, his acid breath to melt down the lock so he could get out and try and take on the guards.
That's it.
I used that opportunity to slip past the knights, weren't they, actually?
Yeah, Knights of the Black Rose.
And it was so perfectly lined up for a clean straight line. And I knew Alduin was in the midst of it, but being the person Azure is, he just didn't care. And he unleashed it. He did manage to kill 2 knights, I think, and Alduin within that blast.
No, it was a good kill, a load of XP.
And then made a freaking great little runaway escape straight out with the others, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which we had to bring in Guy's backup character at that point, who was in another cell, and he almost got left behind, which was freaking great.
So Guy had his backup character ready to go, which was great. As soon as Alduin fell, who was in a cell right at the other end, who used this distraction to break out. His character called Ansem, the Dark Elf,
who has been with us for a long time.
Who is still with us actually. So that's how we started, believe it or not, in a jail cell in Dust Cove in session 11.
And he almost got left behind.
Session 12, broken free.
Yes, session 12. Yeah. And then we had to escape, and this is where we had just first sort of met Ansem.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, we need to get out of here. This is going bad. This is going wrong. So Ansem used invisibility on us, didn't he?
Yep.
And we were carrying other people at the same time, so it crossed over because of whatever you were carrying also was invisible.
Yep.
So we were doing that with 2 people at the same time, sort of thing.
So it was
and we
very
managed
tactical.
to sneak out quite easily.
Yeah. You got to a small farmstead just on the outside of Dust Cove,
and
a human male was sitting there camping there, which was the introduction of Jay's character Arlo, who is still with the party. So we're going to skip forward quite a bit because obviously a lot happens in this time, and you can obviously listen to, more about it on our Catching Up with the Ragtag Bunch. The playlist is in obviously our YouTube channel. But bullet point wise. Azure follows the party through the kind of viewing the raising of Amberglade, defeating the Orog evil boss.
He was quite fun with that.
He was there during into the descent of the Crag Mountains and Crag McDuggan, which had been this large dwarven city that was actually sealed. Closed. No one was allowed in or out due to rumours of plague. Everyone was thought to be dead. And we get up to session 15 by this point, and it's Adam's second character. So Azure didn't die. What actually happened was they descended into this mountain, and they had been travelling for some time, and they come across this well-crafted door. And they were fighting off a lot of kobolds. And they were solving this large puzzle door, which turned out to be the number of letters in a number. So 1 had 3, 4 had 4, and so on. And they had to work it out, and they could only place one answer, kind of in this dwarven script, into a socket per turn. And they were slowly, more and more kobolds were appearing, and it got to the point where they actually got through the door before a load of swobolds kind of started appearing. Yeah. So they got in just in time. I think one actually got crushed. Did you use no,
Erebos, wasn't it? It was Erebos who kicked it back into the door as it was closing because Ansem had taken one of the rooms out.
Yes, causing it to close.
Causing it to close, and it.
Cool, and it closed on the kobold. They were left in this large tunnel. They investigated it. They kind of saw this 3-way passage, was based off kind of Lord of the Rings and Gandalf trying to follow his nose. And that's what Azure did. Azure followed his nose. He smelt haunched meat and vegetables and various things, and he followed it along a tunnel to a wooden door. It was opaque, he couldn't see through it, but you could hear broken common and kind of this goblin language. And can you for our viewers. Explain
Yeah, so,
exactly what just happened.
The guys were sitting there thinking of the way how they could get in through the door and what they should do on the other side, what it could be. And Azure was like, I opened the door, what's cooking, guys? And it was a load of hobgoblins.
6 hobgoblins to be exact. And we stopped the session right there, ready for the next week.
It stopped the session with, I think, 4 or 5 people face palming, but
yeah.
it was fun.
It was great. The reason we're obviously doing this bit in a bit more detail is because for the next session, we had Azure and Ansem only.
Yes.
So what we had to do was Adam and Guy rolled up another character that was previously, was just saying that somehow we're with them through the entire story already previously in, and I'd been following with them, and they wrote backstories on why they were following. And Adam came up with a character called Red Jenny.
Mm.
So, for this one episode, session 15, Red Jenny was with the party.
Yep.
And Guy came up with another character called Omen. So, Adam, can you just go through Red Jenny's character just as an intro, and then we'll do a bigger intro when she comes in.
Red Jenny
Session 27.
is literally based off of a character in Dragon Age Inquisition called Sarah, who is a Red Jenny. Everything is literally based off of that.
Oh, right.
I wanted to play it to see if anyone would notice it.
I've
no one
never played
did,
Dragon Age.
and it was brilliant.
I'm afraid it's one of those things I've yet to get into.
She's a crafty rogue, is what she is. She doesn't like noble people.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like wealthy people like that. Yeah, that's pretty much what she is.
Cool.
As simple as that. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah. And what happens, it was a really great session because it was kind of a turning point. They had just finished killing this big boss Orog guy, and they have now just stumbled across the next kind of big thing. As they kind of kill the hobgoblins, they kind of dealt with a few captains. They kind of run through this large barracks area, all dwarven architecture. They kind of wind through these large corridors and rooms, and they eventually get out of the barracks, opening a door out to this large area, and they realise they're in the city of Cragmordagan. And instead of it being dead and desolate and abandoned, it's actually fully working and fully inhabited by a horde or an army of hobgoblins.
Yeah, hobgoblins.
Tens of thousands of hobgoblins in this city working. And they had just stumbled into it and made a load of commotion. So the next bit was them running. And the way Cragmordagan was designed is that it's shaped as a large, if you could imagine, a crescent moon.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got like a bridge just there that was kind
right in the middle of the sea, exactly. So if you go from north to south, so you've got from the southern tip of the crescent moon, all the way up to the north tip of the crescent moon, and the inside of the moon is kind of like this inner sanctum area.
Yeah.
Kind of where the middle and upper classes are, large markets, and in the centre, almost like a very badly done Euro sign, right? In the centre was this large thoroughfare, and separating the two sections, almost like the crescent moon, was this huge canyon used for mining and things, and you could look down and people are picking away in various stuff, torchlights going all the way down to this kind of darkened abyss. And in the centre was this large causeway and a bridge that they had to get across. So they were running from the south all the way around to this central bridge with this large central square with a large temple, and going west out of the kind of moon area would be the actual main gate of Cragmordagan, and going this way into the centre would be the hold. So they got to the bridge, and they eventually were surrounded by thousands of hobgoblins. They had no idea what to do. They were looking around. There was nowhere for them to go except towards into the inner sanctum, and they heard this stomping, this marching of heavy plate as the king's guard of hobgoblins appeared with this general. I designed these hobgoblins to be very Chinese-styled armor.
You went with the very Chinesey.
Yeah, about maybe third to fifth century Chinese armor. Kind of like this plate and armor with kind of stirrup guards and helmets.
Yeah, it's kind of like half plate, isn't it? And
yeah,
the levers and the chains.
Lamellar almost.
Yeah.
And they met the hobgoblin general Malbach, and he kind of greeted them, and all he really said was, "My master awaits you." And if a hobgoblin general says, "My master awaits you," then this guy is very powerful, and I was so happy to kind of introduce him to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had 4 characters, 2 played by Adam and 2 played by Guy. The rest of the party were with them in spirit, and with them, just not here. So that session they met the actual king under the mountain. No one really knew he was here, called Gambian Everspire, who was this humanoid-looking man, long flowing blonde hair with his long grey streaks in it, yellow piercing eyes, who basically told the party, "How the hell did you get here? I sensed you, but you shouldn't have gotten in here." It was kind of shouting at a few people, and said, "Right, okay, I'm going to give you an option. Either I kill you here, or I give you an option, kind of a test to prove yourselves, and either you die there or you survive and I let you go and you can work for me. Go and kill this tunneling horror." The party accept, and they go, "Right, okay, well, you need a guide to go and kill this tunneling horror. I give you this person called Calcifer, who was this shadow person, this shadow creature. Kind of based her off a few kind of like Lucy from Disenchantment, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Kind of that kind of attitude, kind of the kind of fuck you attitude, really.
Yeah.
And I described her as being kind of like in a 80s power suit, female, kind of like the trousers and things like that. Kind of a strong female personality, and she was then bound to Ansem because he was the character that was willing to drink from this cup filled with wine, and actually bound Calcifer to him.
I was going to...
You were fighting for that cup.
I was fighting for that cup, and Ansem told me, "No, I'll take this one." And in that manner, I was like, "Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sure, go ahead for it."
Yeah, drink from the weird cup that this weird, creepy guy is now offering you.
Mm.
So that's what Ansem did. He drank from the cup. Azure was like, "All right, cool." You had what's it called? True sight, so you could see hidden creatures.
Yeah, I have
trying to be hidden.
A small amount of true sight as a half dragon.
I think 15 feet.
It was 10 feet in total.
So he saw this dwargo appear from nowhere and give the cup, and then disappeared. And the Gambian Everspire said, "Look, if you come back, I'll give you this box," which looked to be a box that would contain the deck of many things, kind of prompting, "Ooh, nice." So the party then descended to go kill the tunneling horror. They fought against some Nothics, which were horror wizards praying to Orcus, trying to kind of get some power, and they eventually failed and actually become these horrible creatures. Ooh, exposition. Ooh. Then they fought against these psionic beasts, these were-beasts, not were-beasts, these psionic beasts. Quaggoths, thank you. And they fought against not a gelatinous cube, it was a wasn't it black pudding?
Black puddings, there was 2 of them.
2 black puddings.
Oh no, it was one of them, but he split into 2.
Because you used lightning on it.
No, not me, it's because...
Ansem did.
Ansem did, and I was just sort of like, well, I'm so lucky I used my lightning breath back on the Nothics.
Yeah, the Nothics got destroyed very quickly, actually. It was very funny. So we've got these 4 characters, they're fighting, and they got to the tunneling horror. And not yet, sorry, they almost got to the tunneling horror. We go on to the next session, where the rest of the party were back, and Red Jenny and Omen then come back, leave,
Yeah, they were just followers at that point.
Yeah, they were just followers. The rest of the party were back in, so they fought the tunneling horror, which was this juvenile purple worm that I statted down. They fought it. It was a really good battle, actually. It was really, really intense. Kind of action orientated. So it kind of used the Stinger.
There was some proper worm riding.
It was insane. It had like a ballista to help them as well. It had like explosives on the end of it. It was really fun. Dealt with that, came back. You then met with Gambian Everspire. You knew that you found out various bits. You didn't really interact with Azure that much. It was mostly with Ansem.
No, because what happened is Azure used Ansem as a pawn to find out as much information as possible, because Ansem liked to talk to Azure quite a bit. He liked to tell him things. And I kept this information with me all the way until we were going to see Perinos, where we were told by Gambian that we weren't to speak of him. And I spoke the hell about him.
Yes, and I can't wait for that to come back. So the party leave Craig McDuggan and Gambian Everspire and head back towards Amberglade, which was razed, and Phineas Fineleaf, Merrin Porskath and Drusilla Fineleaf survived the sacking of Amberglade and had headed westwards towards Perinos, the capital. So the party headed towards the capital, who had not been there yet.
Oh yeah, because I got the horse of that guy, that little pony thing.
Yes.
And I traded it to the other farmer, and I got a longsword out of it, and I came out in profit of 5 gold.
Yeah, it was very good bartering there.
Well, I was trying to... I can't remember what I was trying to do.
You were trying to do something with it. It was cruel, though. Poor bugger. Guy had just had this whole house destroyed. They got to Perinos. Azure told Merrin about the Crag McDuggan and Gambian Everspire and what was going on. Merrin was like, right, I need to speak to the Emperor. So Azure gave him all the details, and Merrin is going to go sort that out. So that's been happening in the background, and the guys have been away up north during this time, so they don't actually know what's happened. No. Which is exciting, because that will hopefully come back, hopefully next session or the session after, session 37 or 38, hopefully.
Yeah. So Azure has no more ties to that.
Yeah, Azure and the party then head north towards Riverford, because Drogon met with the Guildmaster of Oxenburt, the northern capital of Avencia, who wanted to go there, and the rest of the party wanted to go and follow up on Gambian Everspire's quest to go and speak with the head of the Order of Denier, which was Bran's actual order. And again, that god comes back into the campaign, Denier. His followers are still around, and they are fighting against this evil, and Gambian wants something, and supposedly they know where it's found. So he had a deal with Ansem to go find it, Azure again pulling the strings, and they made their way north and got to Pilferreach. They met with the Order of Denier. They met its Grand Master, Baraka All-Eyed, which actually turned out to be a beholder. Then they came back to Pilferreach. They went to Riverford, and they met with Guy's first character, Drakath, who looked to be possessed.
Yep.
Ooh. They were planning to go to Oxenburt, but they actually decided to go to Wonderland instead, to save Arlo's family, who had been taken by this horrible lich called Balthazar, owner of Balthazar's Wonderland, which was taken as inspiration from the Adventure Zone's Suffering Game, a podcast I highly recommend to watch and listen. Very good. So the party went to Balthazar's Wonderland. They headed east to a small island, dealt with that, and Azure had to make several sacrifices. So, can you remember the sacrifices that Azure made in the Suffering Game?
Yeah, he made one and only one, which was...
Oh, didn't he?
He can no longer... He gave away his reflection.
Mm.
He's complete and utter vanity, basically.
So,
as a sacrifice.
As a token, he put forward his mirror that he always kind of looked at himself with.
The guys, when I said that, they were like, "You're an idiot. Why are you doing that? That's not going to be good enough." but luckily the DM knew exactly what I was
We've got
giving.
this weird like psychic link. But yeah, so he lost his reflection, and yeah, so they got through Wonderland, the Suffering game. They got out of it. They came back from the island to Gladeholm, and they headed back north towards Oxenburt to go deal with a necromancer, a quest that was assigned to them by Baraka, the head of the Order of Danir. Got to Oxenburt. They did some walking around. They fought in the arena, and got titles of champions. Did a few bits around there. Then headed west towards where this necromancer was found. You got some holy water.
Yes.
Got closer and closer. Azure's kind of main quest was to gather souls. Is that right?
Yeah, to gather 10,000 souls.
And because he was a warlock of Fiend, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, the Fiend.
So the devil had assigned him to go and get 10,000 souls. The amazing thing is that the devil that actually made a pact with Azure was from Carnia, which is Mephistopheles level, which was amazing because it actually just ties into the rest of the campaign as well with what Gambian Everspire wants, which is the Book of Orcus Arcanum, which can be found in the Great Library of Mephistopheles. So it's, we'll see what happens with that. But the party end up fighting this necromancer called Calarial the Vile, taken from a first edition D&D setting. I'll find it and I'll put it in the link down bottom there 'cause it's a really good setting.
In Greyhawk.
It's it's really, really good. It's a really good, actually a good one to start off with as well. I think a few people have transposed it into 5e. If not, it's actually not too difficult. Most of it's kind of standard stuff. So anyway, it's really, really good. So they fight Calarial the Vile, and in his big wizard's tower, and they end up killing Calarial the Vile and stopping this large arcane gate which appeared behind him. And it was a similar one to which they had seen in the Suffering game. These are these weird portals that can bring demons and devils and various things from hellish and abyssal planes through to the material plane.
Yeah.
And there's different sizes. You've got small one, which was found in the Suffering game, which can transfer energy. You've got the medium ones, which can transfer people or demons, low-level demons. Which is the one they found in the Calarial's tower, and later on, if you've been watching our episodes, and if you haven't, make sure you do. They find in Balthazar's tomb, and they see that Calarial's got his own one, and this creature is coming through it. So the team, half of them fight Calarial, and the half of them try and destroy the arcane gate. Azure just kills Calarial, and Adonai had a kind of a prior agreement, and it felt like Azure's time with the party was coming to an end.
Yeah, he got decimated by ghouls, and he should have died.
He should have died. So we agreed, you know what, I didn't want him to die with the ghouls. Calcifer actually helped him and immolated all of them. What I said was, actually, you're going to be alive for the big end party, the big end game. And as he kills Calarial, all the souls that Calarial had harvested, which he was building his tower with, transferred to Azure. All 9,999 souls. Azure's body then became rigid, and his voice had changed with his red eyes, and he said, "One remaining soul, yours." And his body was broken into pieces by the devil, and he was that 10,000th soul.
Yep.
And he was taken down into Carnia, forever a servant of his devilish master. So that was the end of Azure, and I was really scared because obviously I didn't want to. Obviously, we had an agreement that Azure would die, but we didn't I didn't want to release what was going to happen. I was really scared of how you'd actually take Azure's death if it was like the wrong direction or if you had something planned. So before I did that, how did you think Azure was going to die?
I was either going to throw myself into a moment and have Azure do the most helpful thing. For example, if like the castle was crashing or something, it would be a moment of I'll have to restrain the enemies while you escape.
Okay.
And go out in that direction.
The heroic kind of last deed.
Yeah.
Fair. And my ending, obviously, because you killed Clariel quite easily. Well, I'd say quite easily. It was a tough-ass battle. But you all kind of focused on him very well.
No, we definitely did, yeah.
Did you feel like the ending I gave you, was it okay?
It was great. It was unexpected, but it was good.
Yeah, nice. Good. I like to hear positive comments. Cool, so that gets us all the way up. So session 26 is the end of Clariel the Vile. So session 27 to session 30 is Red Jenny. So Red Jenny comes back, and she had met with the party previously, but she went away. And she came back and she met them on the crossroads. Is that right?
She met them on a crossroads outside of it. Yeah.
So we did a quick intro for Red Jenny. Are you okay to do just a kind of a bigger one? And what's her aims? What was her aims? I should say.
She was to find out the truth about what happened to her cause, the Red Jennies, because they had all been decimated and destroyed because of what she believes is a traitor amongst them who had essentially sort of been bought by this evil lady.
Yes,
this
countess.
This countess, yeah. And she was just to find out the truth, and she'd been waiting for ages about it. So, yeah.
So, Red Jenny joined the party, session 27, kind of properly. The party went back to Oxenburt. They found out that actually there was a vampire menace in Oxenburt, turning people and creating thralls. They found out actually the threat was a lot bigger than they had realised, and it was actually a full-blown cult. And they had found that actually it was the Master of Coin, Cambion Thornton, who one of the trusted advisors to the prince, who was actually a master vampire, and had turned, and it was a lot of people in the city.
So we left it very quickly.
Yeah, so you
did. The party left.
Massive battle though.
Died in a battle.
Just before they left, they thought, right, we need to deal a serious blow to Cambion Thornton. So they went to this large amphitheatre they went to previously, trying to find some information on Balthazar and kind of this Orcus cult, which they've been discovering that had been appearing in Adventia. And they found it. And they found that it actually led into these crypts and these tunnels that actually came out into the Thornton Mausoleum as well. So they kind of put a lot of these things together, and that's how they discovered Cambion Thornton was kind of mixed up in the kind of this cult of Orcus with the vampires and various things. So they went, right, well, let's start a big fight. So they went to the amphitheatre, and it was a session where we had a guest with us called Cooley, and he played this turtle called Cassius
of Denier, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he was an Order of Denier Paladin.
Yeah, I remember.
And the guys started fighting in this large arena. It was 3 vampire thralls. Cambion himself, but he didn't actually fight. He did a bit of devious manoeuvres and then disappeared. Then again, and also 40 cultists. And it was a big fight. I didn't realise I had 40 miniatures, but I did. Enough, and the party just survived.
Yeah, we just about survived.
So Red Jenny fell. She was mobbed by several cultists. Drogon was charmed and incapacitated. And yeah, a few people took a lot of damage. So the end of Red Jenny was session 30 in the big fight in the amphitheatre against Cambion Thornton. Did you expect Red Jenny to go out so quickly? Or were you...
As soon as that happened in the Thingabob, I knew that she was going to die in that session, and that was literally because of her personality traits, ideals, her flaws, and her bonds were so strongly connected against the hatred of that kind of situation that she wouldn't have fled. She would have just taken it to the grave. So she knew she was going
fought to
out.
the death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing session. It was really, really good. And I think she parted some belongings of hers to Arlo.
Yeah, so a red handkerchief with a J on it.
It's not the end of her quest line. Obviously, Arlo's got the opportunity to pursue that as well.
Yeah.
So that gets us onto session 31, where Adam brings in his current character at this point of recording, called Salazar, the Red Gensei. So, yeah, speak to us about Salazar.
Yeah, so he's a half genie. Flame one. He's pretty much a barbaric fighter.
Gladiator, isn't he? Yeah.
Barbarian. Yeah, he's a gladiator. He's just an all-round hard ass, and he does not take defeat kindly. He has no, how would you say it? Doesn't really care if someone has morals about a situation. He's only in it for the fame and glory, and that's it. And which is why, after travelling with the party and helping them for a while, and they had a slight problem here and there, a couple of them fell down, and he was still alive and basically protected their butts on that first session.
Yeah.
On one of the last sessions, he was with the guys with the prince.
Oh yeah. So Balthazar's catacombs. They finally found him. They descended into Balthazar's catacombs, which was a lot of layers of various things. And the last layer, just before fighting Balthazar, Prince Tamil, who had joined the party previously fighting Balthazar in the Suffering game, were with them. Yeah. However, Balthazar split them in two. Prince Tamil's party and obviously the Ragtag Bunch through two different lanes and said, right, there's a race. Last one to me loses. Sadly, the Ragtag Bunch were the ones who were lost, the last one there, which meant upon getting to the last room before Balthazar, they saw Prince Tamil, Arlo's previous travelling companion Aoife, and Prince Tamil's bodyguard Zir had been possessed by this large red gem and attacked the party.
Yep.
Salazar found his match. Let's put it that way. So tell us about Salazar and that point. Because if you watch that episode on our channel, that's when it showed. This is one thing I loved about that episode, and I loved about Salazar in staying with his ideals, but really testing the party in their. Because with the party, they kind of show themselves to be quite strong and kind of independent. This really proved to the party that they had made some very strong friendships and strong bonds, and Salazar tested this, and I thought it was brilliant. Sorry, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so I had figured out he's a prince, because we had met beforehand in that pub down in the understairs where we were beating up that demon.
Yes.
And I had figured out he was a prince by then because he introduced me to himself as a prince. And
so watch the episode if you know.
So I kept that in mind. I kept that in mind that he was a prince, and my ideals is to get fame and glory. And what better way to be more famous than anything, or infamous in this direction actually, than to take the head of the prince who fell unconscious in front of me, and to be known as the person who killed this prince. The entire party went nuts. They didn't know how to react. There was complete and utter shock. No one expected it at all, and that was me testing my limits of my chaotic neutral nature of basically going, nah, that's the way to fame. It's right in front of me, and I'm going to take it. It's a golden ticket.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It caused a party to be at that moment. They went nuts, and it's exactly what Balthazar wanted. It was very calculated, and I didn't expect it. It was insane. It was a very insane moment, and I recommend if you've not watched that episode. It's try and remember now. So it was session 37. So it would be session 36. I think it's the latest one. I think it's called Balthazar's End on our YouTube. Please watch it because it was an emotional episode. I was exhausted by the end of it. My God. And obviously, the party had hated Balthazar for all the kind of suffering and the sacrifices they've made. So for them to finally kill this guy off, they were very happy. But for this was the real kicker. It was amazing. So Salazar killed Prince Tamil, took his head as trophy.
Took Prince Tamil's dagger. No, it wasn't his dagger.
It was Aoife's dagger.
Aoife's dagger. And my sickle, and cut his head clean off, and then put his head around my belt, so the party knew I was in seriousness.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. The party then had this PvP moment before they kind of came to their senses. They then attacked Balthazar and dealt the final blow, while Salazar fought this Babu demon from the Abyssal Plane.
Yeah, I freaking took him back into his Abyssal Plane.
You took his demon spear, which I do have the stats for, and you'll get on Monday.
Nice.
I'm not going to give you. There's question marks on bits that you'll have to unlock. Ooh.
That's alright.
And then, so we're at session 37 at the moment. So how's Salazar feeling with the party at the moment? With this kind of, the party are now in Pilfer Reach. They've left Riverford. They've dealt with Balthazar. They're kind of going to Pilfer Reach to just kind of go back to, I don't know what the plan is for the party at the moment. You've got various places where they can go. They're either going back to Perinos, they're either going back to Oxenburt to deal with Cambion, or they're going to go to Baraka and deal with him. So how is Salazar feeling about the party at the moment?
He's watching his back. He's already mentioned to the elf.
To Ansem?
To Ansem, yeah. To the elf, that if he ever tries those magic tricks on him again, you'll find me above you while you sleep, mate. And next time it'll be the Howlbeard against your throat.
So there's a bit of rivalry going between Ansem at the moment, because Ansem was a good friend of Prince Tamil. They fought together previously in the Suffering game, but also in Oxenburt, discovering the tunnels under the amphitheatre and against Cambion Thornton. So it's interesting to see that dynamic. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to session 37 and see what direction the party goes. I think I'm obviously going to call it that there, because obviously I think we've got all kind of your main characters at the moment. Have you prepared a backup character just in case?
There is a backup character prepared because I'm pretty sure Ansem said he was going to kill me.
Yeah. So we'll see how long Salazar lasts. But yes. So thank you for Adam for sitting with me and going through your characters. Catch us up. Obviously catch up with us. Obviously with other episodes. I'll be going through each session one by one, detailing what's going on as well. You can also read about it on our wiki page, link in the bottom as well. Catch up previous episodes on our other playlist, the Ragtag Bunch. And remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, which is in that direction, I think. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. And anything else? Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. And episode 2, we'll catching up. I think we're going to do catching up with Guy next, and we'll go through. Try and remember his characters. Oh dear, Drakath, Grimrock, Alduin, and Ansem. So stay tuned. Thank you, and see you soon.
Yep.